Welcome to Toffee Blue View, your source for all things Everton. It's the Airy twins coming at you today. It's Gerry and Terry. No Max. Max went to go see a movie. He went to go see Endgame. So, and apparently he saw Morgan Feeney at the theater. So that's just kind of great. But yeah, so Max, I hope you're having fun gallivanting around town. While Terry comes on here, and Terry's sick. You'll be able to tell in his voice.
Yeah, not feeling too well, but we soldier on for the Blues.
See what we're doing? Max. Max is over there like, Gerry, why are you doing that? You're embarrassing me. Yeah, so I kid, of course. Max sits there and comes on here all the time, and he has a really busy life, so obviously I'm joking. So let's start. Talk about Jagielka. So Jagielka may be leaving soon, okay? The guy's like, what is he, 36?
Yeah, I think he's 36.
I think he's 36. He performed well, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago when he played? He came in and actually played well, and then he had another game after that where not so much. Against, who was the not-so-good performance against? I'm spacing.
It was against Fulham. He was
Fulham.
Back of the Arsenal game. He came in for Keane last game because he was not well in the warm-up. And then he kept his place because of the good performance. He actually scored Arsenal, didn't he? So
yeah,
it wasn't too hot in the Fulham game.
Yeah, which is starting to become a trend with some of the older players. They'll look good in spots, but if you need them repeatedly, it's just tougher, you know. So let's talk about Jagielka and the fact that in spots he can be an admirable fill-in. And the fact that he brings so much to the locker room. Terry, is this a situation where you can talk about the argument for or against trying to keep Jags?
I think the one thing you can say about Jagielka is nobody, doubts his brain as as a defender. He's definitely the best defender upstairs still left at the club. But physically, I think the years have caught up to him, which is fair enough. He's 36, but the vibe you get from the club, you got to remember when Marco Silva spoke about this a couple of weeks ago in a pre-match press conference. If you whittle down what he basically said, yeah, we're going to offer Baines a 1-year extension to his contract, but we need to speak to Jagielka. So people said, people took that as we're going to offer both of them contracts, but when you actually see what the raw wordage, he was very specific with Baines and was a bit more ambiguous with Jagielka. And then obviously at Goodison, he comes on, and not only do the crowd react as if it's a farewell, moment. You could see on the touchline that Silva was telling Coleman to give him the armband and so on. There was a lot of tells there, basically, that Jagielka's probably not going to stay. I think the only instance where he may have been retained would have been if we'd have qualified for the Europa League, because then the extra bodies and the experience might have been useful to have around. But I think you probably have saw the last of Jagielka at Goodison as an Everton player.
Yeah. You can definitely make some arguments. The fact that this squad lacks a little bit of Premier League experience and leadership. That is the way it is. I guess it seems like we're not going to try to keep him. It does seem like you're exactly what you ran down there. And the other question is, it may not necessarily just be on us as well. It could be a thing where if he knows he's going to hardly play, would he want to stay? Because it's a lot of times people just put it all up to the club. But it's also up to the player. It's up to the individual. Would he want to stay? And he'd be looking at a situation where he rarely plays. Which may be good for him. He may realize that's where I'm at right now, or he may be thinking, you know what, I want a chance at playing more. And I mean, it seems pretty. What everybody's saying is, Sheffield United has been promoted, and that's he's got roots there. So is it a situation where that's where he's going to go? Because that's where all signs seem to be pointing, Terry.
I mean, the Sheffield United move, practically everyone's saying this. It's not a given that Sheffield United will take him. Not necessarily that he's a bad player, but it's like they might not want to go down the road of bringing in, like, older players. I know he's a free transfer and whatnot, so it'd be pretty easy. But that you don't know that it's just I don't know, these moves like we did with Rooney is like when another club finishes up with one of your old players, if you've got like a connection from before your time there with another club, like, oh yeah, we'll take them back. It didn't really work out for Rooney here, and he was an exceptional talent. I think Jagielka may his next move, if it does in fact, it's not guaranteed he is leaving, but if he does, I think he may go abroad or somewhere like that where he gets a little bit more mileage out of his body, because he's played 3 games as a Premier League player.
Come to America, Jags.
You read my mind. I was thinking the MLS could be a good shout for him, because it's not it's less common than it was, but it's still not an uncommon path to tread for an older Premier League player to go to the MLS to get a little bit longer, because it's a less high impact league. I don't know. I don't see the Sheffield United thing. I see why it's an easy connection to make, but I think he probably finished in this league. I think he'll go abroad and then come back when he's retired and either go into coaching or punditry or whatever. But yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna flat out say it, Terry. Just for the listeners and viewers, Terry and I, when we're off camera, we talk about all this stuff. We like a lot of the same stuff. We like, we agree on like a lot of stuff. This is one time where I'm thinking, Terry, I sort of think he's going to Sheffield. All right, and here's why. Okay, because they are freshly promoted, and because we do have a deeper squad. I think if he has a choice between the potential of play, I think you immediately jump for Sheffield. And if you're Sheffield, you almost have to think, well, if we can sign him on a bargain, well, then we can get that cool head in the locker room who's got way more Premier League experience than anyone else on our squad. You know what I mean? So I think it depends on the price. What's Jags asking for? You know what I mean? What's his agent asking? What does he want? And if he's being ridiculous, I think Sheffield would be dumb to try to get it. But if he's like, look, I got roots here, I'll be cool, I'll take a cut, you know what I mean? If that's the case, I think he'll go there. I just saw an interview with Rooney on Men in Blazers, and Rooney was interviewed by Roger Bennett, and it was good. Like my wife and I watched it last night, and we're going to show it to our kids because it's just a really good interview. And I had not heard any like long interviews with him before, and he's a well-spoken guy, and he's like more quiet than I was expecting as well. He's just very soft-spoken. It's like I wanted to turn the volume up so I could hear him. But he was talking about, he thought it went poorly for him at Everton, mainly because he had to stop playing striker. Like he was talking about the amount of goals he had scored up to that point, and then it seemed like it was better for the team for him to be pulled back. And he started talking about MLS and how it was a better league than he thinks people give it credit for. So, I mean, if Jags is asking Wayne, then I'm thinking Rooney is going to be like, look, this is a good area. I just don't really necessarily think MLS pays their players super well. Certain players get a lot of money. Maybe Jags would be one of those guys. I don't know. But, yeah, it's a tough one, man. I'm leaning toward him maybe going to Sheffield. But mainly, it's also, Terry, I get the fact that it's a lazy connection, isn't it? It's a really lazy connection to do that. There are some things you could argue and say that it does make sense. But, it's one of those where, every year Everton will get connected with certain players. Every single year. It's just, okay, Brahimi at Porto. Yeah. Every single window we are connected with Brahimi. I love him, but we're connected with every single year.
These links are lazy, but they are obvious for a reason because they make a lot of sense. I mean, I personally don't think he'll go to Sheffield United, but he could. It's a very, very straightforward move for both the player and the club. if Sheffield United, it was when Rooney's finished at Man United, he'll go back to Everton. And I used to think, no, he won't do that. His time at Everton's over. But then there we, lo and behold, when the time came, whether for better or worse, he did come back. So it's these moves do happen in football. They are a common thing. That's why everyone immediately made that connection. They were making that connection before Sheffield United got promoted, and then when they confirmed promotion, it went into overdrive. Going, well, they're definitely going to get him now because they're going to need, some experience, Premier League experience. Sheffield United have got a very, this may be wrong. I mean, I'm sure any comments will correct me if it is, but they haven't got a lot of Premier League experience in their squad. They've got quite a championship, squad in terms of like experience rather than quality. We don't know whether the players are going to cut it yet, but they've not come up with like superstars or ex-Premier League players to get them up. So they will need someone to come in, and if he's not going to play every game, he's not going to play even half the games, he'll be there. He'll be a cool head to have on the bench to start in the games where there's injuries, and just calm things down, like he did for us in the when he first came back into the team against Cardiff. I remember scratching my head when he started that game, but lo and behold, it was the start of what ended up being a really good run towards the end of the season. He's got a part to play in that. We were shipping goals for fun, especially on set pieces. Yep. He, as part of the defensive unit, was part of fixing that. And now look at the players like Zuma, who's gone in. At that time, when Jagielka came in against Cardiff, I was unsure on Zuma. I wasn't really sure whether he was worth spending the money on, and whether it was a culmination of different things or a combination, of different things. But since Jagielka came into the team, Zuma came back into the team and has been outstanding ever since. Maybe it was the threat to his place, I don't know. But Jagielka's got a big hand in sorting our defensive woes out from the middle third of the season.
The one thing Jagielka does that no other player seems to do in the back, except for maybe Seamus Coleman, is communicate. His communication, you can see what he's doing. He's barking out orders. He's almost, gosh, I'm such an American. I was about to say, oh, he's like a quarterback back there. It's just such a American football. And yeah, sorry to all the world that's not American. But his communication is really effective. He's back there and he knows what he's doing. He understands things, and he's able to confidently express that to the surrounding players. Not everybody does that. A lot of people want to lead by example and not via words. Or some people just want to follow. So we haven't had a lot of people like that. So there are arguments to be made that Jags has way more value rather than just straight play value. His leadership qualities extend way past the locker room. When he does play, he's key. I feel like he is one of the reasons he almost gave people something to see when you say, okay, here's a role model. This is how this role model leads the team from the back. And he gives our other central defenders something to see and watch how he works. I don't know, man. We have no idea if he's actually leaving or not. He's a player that immediately, if you're a casual fan, I'm not sure if you realized how important Jagielka was to the team because he's never been a flash guy, But I mean, I very quickly started seriously supporting the club when I first began, and when I was trying to figure out what my first kit was going to be, and yes, this is a very American thing to put a name and number on the back of your kit. I get it. It's for kids in England. I know it, okay? So save your comments. I know I'm a dork in America. But Jagielka was one of the ones. I ended up choosing between Jagielka and Baines, and I chose Baines because I felt like he's a goofy artist guy like me. But Jagielka's the other one because I just admire the way he carries himself. He's just a professional, and not everybody is like that. I love that guy. So if he leaves, it's going to suck for all these immaterial reasons. So, but at the same time, he's 36 years old, and as a 41-year-old man, I can tell you, it just things don't always work out when you're getting older. Just saying, it's the way it is. And I think Holgate's going to come into the squad.
That's another thing. I think that was the reason Holgate was loaned out, was to go and get a few months of regular playing time.
That's a good call.
While Jagielka still had months to coincide with Jagielka's last months at the club. So when Jagielka went, he could step back into that role in the squad. So I think Jagielka not being retained has probably been in the mind of Brandon Silva for a while. I mean, the MO is want to build young squad going forward, and I think Baines is going to be retained so they can address the left back situation next time, because he's still got I think more to offer than Jagielka, and I think it is time. Jagielka has been a great servant to the club, and he in his time was a fantastic defender. He was one of the best in the league in his prime, but now, apart from the odd one-off game where he comes in and looks strong, I wouldn't feel comfortable playing for a prolonged spell of games, just because I don't think he's got it physically anymore, and that's fine. That's you couldn't begrudge any 36-year-old player that. The legs do go, the body does break down a little bit, so it's probably about the right time. A lot of people wanted him gone, myself included. Not wanted him gone, but a lot of people thought he would go earlier, last season, the season before. And it's a good job at times that he never, because we've relied on him at spots when a lot of people thought he shouldn't have even been there. But it probably is time now. The club's getting a little bit of stability. There's young players coming through, and I don't think Jagielka is right to stay and block that progression, because we need to play the players like Holgate and Mina and so on.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But I mean, if the legs didn't go, I mean, hell, think of all the players we could have just kept having in our squad.
I know.
Gareth Barry, you would never have left.
I know. Put Jagielka's brain into Zuma's body, and there's £100 million player straight away. Like, it's someone with physicality of him, but the defensive, nous of Jagielka. It's just a shame, isn't it?
Yeah. You always go back to Calvert-Lewin saying that Jagielka's like the quickest player he's played against. That's, and that was an older Jags you're talking about. You know what I mean? That's awesome. Hope for the old folk. Just saying. I'll take it. All right. Well, I think that's it on our Jagielka segment. Jagielka. We got through. Terry not feeling great. Feeling on the sick side. Hasn't said anything silly yet. Fingers crossed. We get that with the next segment. I just want something ridiculous, and you can blame it on the sickness. Be like, sorry, it's the fever. So, but anyway, if you are, in fact, digging what we do, we'd appreciate if you subscribe to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel. We sincerely appreciate it. If you do want more Terry, check out his Twitter. He'll tell you when and where he's going to be. A lot of times he shows up on the Liverpool Echo fan jury. And if you see him in town right now, do not hug him. You will get sick. Don't hug him this time. Okay? This is from his physician. All right? No hugs for Terry for a little while. All right? Give him a week so he's not contagious anymore. All right? So, that's it. I don't have anything to plug. I'm just a dude. So we're going to move on, talk about Lookman. Look, man. All right? That's all I got, and I got nothing to throw, because if I throw this at the end, it's just going to go like this, like a leaf. So, bye.